may be listening without the benefit of visuals right now. I am a woman in her late 50s. I have long brown hair with blonde highlights. I have clear reading glasses on, a black t-shirt, and I have a black and white headband and some earrings. Oh, and I have some lipstick on too today still. And I've got a background behind me. It's a faux background, but it's a picture of the park that I'm going to be discussing today. It's over at UMBC. So, so I would also like to tell you that my pronouns are she, her, they, and them. And before I go any further, I would like to read a brief land acknowledgement. It's about the site where we're talking about today and the subject of tonight's talk, this public park at UMBC. Excuse me. It stands for, by the way, UMBC, if you're not from the area, stands for University of Maryland, Baltimore County. It's part of the University of Maryland system, and the campus is located in present-day Catonsville, and it's up near Halethorpe, and it's near Arbutus as well, on the southwest side of the Beltway, Baltimore Beltway in Baltimore County. And however, the site was established upon the land of the Piscataway and the Susquehannock peoples. Over time, citizens of many more indigenous nations have come to reside in this region, as well as other folks, and we humbly offer our respect to all past, present, and future indigenous people connected to this place. So I work not in this place all the time, although it's beautiful, and I love to do activities and programs out there. It's one of the best parts of my job. But I said my day job is I work at a 4,000 square foot art gallery space, which hosts a dynamic range of exhibitions, student shows, faculty work, like you would expect on a large university campus. We have an ambitious national and international exhibition program. We also produce an award-winning publication series, and we're excited to be in the midst of a big website launch, which I will show you a little bit of as it relates to this park later on this presentation. So here's a little bit about the mission of our gallery and how it relates somewhat to this park, which is sort of unusual for a lot of art galleries at universities. UMBC at Center for Art Design and Visual Culture at UMBC is a forum for scholarship, publication, public programming, and experimental engagements in the fields of art, design, and visual culture. The center also runs a K through 12 program, which serves the Baltimore metro area as general community outreach. And this program, like this tonight on occasion. The CADVC, that's the acronym for Center for Art, Design, and Visual Culture, aims to engage in the social and aesthetic issues of the day with the rigor and interdisciplinarity of our umbrella organization, which is UMBC, an R1 research institution and honors university. The center is committed to rethinking the relationship between art, institutions, and the public, and placing special emphasis on access, inclusive excellence, and experimental forms of exhibition, publications, and inquiry. So we've enlarged upon and enhanced this mission by offering, as I said, extensive educational outreach initiatives and the publications. And we have a number of those on our new website soon. So I'll be giving you the QR code at the end. If you would like to peruse any of that, I have to put a plug in, of course, for our own programming, which will be up and live on the website as we continue to roll it out over the next month. I really want to thank everyone for coming here. I'm really honored and privileged by this to be here for this event. I actually signed up online ahead of time as if I were coming to watch, to come. And I want to especially thank Bronwyn Mitchell Strong, especially for her support and collaboration. And she very, very much consulted on the title of tonight's program, which is and I'll paraphrase, what's up with that park and all those stones and trees? So I think this is where I might start to share my screen. Oh, am I already? No, I'm not doing that. I'm thinking I'm on there, but I'm not. Here we go. Oops. Can you see it yet? Mm-mm-mm.
Yep, it's sharing.
It's showing now? Okay. So how do I make that go away? Okay, there we go. Continue to share. Yes. Okay. So, so everybody can see our screen now, right? All right, you can see the title. The next slide is the park. This is the one that was behind me a minute ago. If you still have me on the side like I do, I usually have the folks on the side and the images here. This is a picture of our park that I'm describing here, the Joseph Beuys Sculpture Park, as it was taken a few years ago, just maybe 2 years ago. And let's see, like where I was. Ah, yes. Okay, so back to the title, and I'm paraphrasing, what's up with the park and all the stones and the trees? So as you drive around the campus of UMBC, the campus is sort of like it's like a little beltway road that goes around it, like the Baltimore Beltway or the DC Beltway, and you sort of circumnavigate this campus, and you can have various inroads. And this is right along this park is located right around along that beltway, and people will come by and they will see this, and of course it's a little curious, and they get sort of a sense of like, oh, what's going on over there? It's an unusual thing to see all these. You don't notice it right away, or maybe you're walking through campus and you'll notice it. So I do get that question from time to time. Right now there's a larger tree canopy, as you can see here. It was planted back in 2000, 2001, and this is in more recent years. So the trees have really filled in quite a bit, but here's an older picture. I just want to show you this one. So over the years, colloquially, the names popped up about this place, and it's been called various things over time. So it was originally conceived as the Joseph Beuys Sculpture Park, part of a larger project that was called the Joseph Beuys Tree Partnership. The local parlance actually had some other funnier names. At one point, they called it the cemetery, or even the pet cemetery, because when you drove by back in 2000, 2001, when the trees were even smaller than they are in this picture here, it was really prominent, these granite stones, and they were so prominent you saw those like a cemetery, and people didn't notice the trees for the stones. But as you can see from the previous picture, that's changed quite a bit. And so we're hearing the cemetery, the pet cemetery, much less frequently over the years, thank goodness. But what we have heard lately is hear a lot of people continue to call it the rock garden. And this is something that the community came up with on their own. So before we get into rocks and gardens, let's go back to the Joseph Beuys Tree Partnership. If you don't know who Joseph Beuys is, I will tell you. The 2000-2001 UMBC grant that was used to start this project, it was a $100,000 grant from the TKF Foundation at the time. And now they are known as an organization called Nature Sacred. They gave the seed money, no pun intended. They also continue to support programming at this park and other ones like it. My predecessor at the gallery, her name is Renee Vanderstout. She's an amazing fire soul. And she wrote the proposal for this forever green space on campus initially. And this way we would guarantee that this place would never become a parking lot at the university. But it's not just about UMBC. So this is part of this larger greening initiative that involves dozens of organizations and hundreds of school children. Because if you remember, the person in my role before me, just as I do, we work with school children, K through 12, bring into the art gallery for these incredible, opportunities to become face to face with world-class art. And this was translated to this site as well, because this was inspired by an artist. And so Renee, in her role there, she was bringing the school children in, not just to do programming in the space, but back in 2000, 2001, she got a lot of shovels with this grant and organized hundreds of people in Baltimore City to plant the trees for this park. And not just this park, but 3 other parks in Baltimore City. So those included Carroll Park, Wyman Park Dell, and Patterson Park. So the concept here was to pair the tree with the stone And this is a reference and echoing a project from 1980s Germany where an artist named Joseph Beuys did this very thing. So this goes back to Joseph Beuys. He was a groundbreaking German artist and thinker, known for his work in diverse areas such as performance, installation, public art. He was famously known for doing a performance once, carrying around a dead rabbit in his arm and talking to it. It was very odd, but but so he's he's a little out there, but it was he's a visionary artist really, and he was also politically minded. He was a member of the Green Party. Now, back in 1982, during Documenta, that's a large art festival that they have once every 3 years in Kassel, Germany, he launched this monumental art project called 7,000 Oaks. And the goal, it was to plant 7,000 oak trees across the city, each paired with a basalt stone. Now, 7,000 trees, that's a lot of trees. And one artist is not going to undertake that, even if they have significant funds. So what he believed was that social sculpture, the idea that art isn't just a physical object, it's actually something created by people together for the purpose of collective transformation, was really the core of what was going on here and what was important. For Beuys, planting a tree wasn't just landscaping, it was an act of community, of vision, and hope. And so he couldn't do it alone, and he activated groups of citizens, students, city workers, volunteers for this community effort. And that was really the art. And he coined the term social sculpture. So has anybody, if I could ask a question, I would say, has anyone heard of a of a social sculpture? It's not a term that's in the, the regular everyday world like landscape or portraiture, but this is something he came up with, and it's really a really important idea because a lot of art that we see today um, has a very strong social component. It's about relationships. It's about people coming together for a cause. So, so anyway, going back to Germany, Boyd's idea is it inspires other people around the world to have this project. Remember, he's this Green Party activist, and he is very much interested in greening the earth. Very early green movement stuff. More trees are better. This was back in the 80s, 1980s, quite early for this kind of thing. But as we know, artists are often at the avant-garde of social movements or ideas, and they push the envelope. So it's not surprising in that way that he was involved in this kind of a project. So his idea took root, sorry for the pun, and spread. And so there's other installations like this around the world. There's one in New York City, if you're ever down on, I think it's 23rd Street in Chelsea. It's where the Dia Foundation is. Dia Foundation is a place that has a site there where they have large installations inside on the street there in Chelsea, major gallery district in Washington. I mean, in in Manhattan. But there's only a few, and it's on a street right outside their building. Then the Walker Art Center, the Walker Art Museum in Minneapolis, they have an installation there. It's just a few. It's not 30 like we have. It's not certainly not 7,000 like they had over in Kassel, Germany at the original site. But the Walker Art Museum has a sculpture park. If you've ever been to the one in DC, they have some of the same artists there, like the big spoon with the cherry and things down at the Hirshhorn on the mall in Washington, DC. So, these larger sculptures, outdoor art park, and they have this site, and amongst these sort of large are what are like you could say like large hood ornament type installations of very large metal things from the high modern era on this campus of outdoor art. They also come up with, let's do a tribute to Joseph Beuys's project. So they have a number of these trees over there. I think it's about five of them with the stones next to them, and they have a plaque, and you can read about the project and his vision. And so the interesting thing, like, how did it get from Germany to Minneapolis to Baltimore to UMBC, I'll tell you. So this idea inspires these other projects around the world. And guess who's working at the Walker Art Museum back then? Renee Vanderstelt. Before she comes to work in my position at UMBC, she's out there working as, I believe she was in the registrar's department there. And she gets this idea, and this idea takes root with Renee. She's a committed fire soul, and she's very serious about conservation, green initiatives, trees. She is a tree planter. She would probably admit to be a tree hugger. I know I do. So she came to UMBC and she envisioned adapting that model here with local context and community involvement. And that's when she put the call out. Originally, she made much more modest application to Nature Sacred, the funder, and they said, let's expand that. Let's make it bigger. We love your idea. So they said, take it and run with it. And she did. It was very successful. This was back in 2000, 2001, and they were even smaller than this picture here, tiny twigs. And then they just got so big and very successful. And the trees grew over time. Now, down in the city, those sites do not have 30 trees. There's just one or two. There's a plaque, but there's a bench. Do you see this bench? I think there's a pointer here I can use. You see the little pointer. Ooh, pointer. Visible. Oop. No. Okay. Can you see my mouse where I'm circling?
Yes,
Okay.
we
So
can.
the bench. This is a bench. This is a signature bench that Nature Sacred, the organization that funds these parks, they have over 100 sites now in the U.S. Because they're based in Annapolis. There's a lot of them in this region here. They're an amazing group. They put these benches out there originally made from pickle barrels, recycled pickle barrels, and they fund the sites when a fire soul, a person who identifies as somebody who's a caretaker who wants to program and put in a site, for example. A lot of them are urban sites, and they'll have like a house will burn down, for example, and there's a vacant lot between some row houses, and some activist from the neighborhood says, let's make this a community garden. And then they write the grant or, apply, and then they get the money and they say, well, we have these benches. Would you like a bench? They put the bench. So there is the bench. And that's on the back, you can see there's a little plaque there that says, I don't know if I can move in. There's just a dot from here, but it says open spaces. I'm sorry, open spaces, sacred places, open spaces. So these are sacred places in the sense of not religion, but in that a natural space is a sacred place. So so going back to, I want to make sure I don't miss anything here in my notes. The stones at UMBC here, as you see, they are not basalt like Beuys used over in Germany. They're granite. This was Renee's idea, I believe. She said that, it should be something that's has purpose. It stands besides it. It's durable, but it's also indigenous to this area. It's regional, sort of like you don't want to put in invasive species somewhere. Not that the basalt stones are going to multiply and take over, but it has that sort of comfort of a native species because we're surrounded with granite here, right here in Cockeysville, near where I live. There's the large granite marble mine up here that they made the Washington Monument of. So, so this comes, this regional stone is used instead, but it symbolizes durability, memory, growth, and standing by it nice and tall as the tree. As the trees grows, the stone withers very slowly away. The beautiful metaphor here is the balance between the permanence and the change, between nature and human intention. There's a lot of ways you can look at it poetically, almost like a little ecosystem. I think of it sometimes. The tree is getting bigger and it's feeding it's feeding off the ground where the stone is going into the ground as it erodes, and it's sort of like this little cycle in a sense. It's also if you look at it from an artwork, I'm from an art background, like a time-based piece. When we talk about time-based artwork, it's not a still life. It doesn't, it's not a painting, a sculpture that stands still. It changes over time. For example, video art is a time-based medium. This is a time-based medium. So I see this installation as a time-based medium. It certainly changes over time. And that's part of the poetry of it. And isn't that fascinating? And what really doesn't change over time? I mean, marble, stones degrade and change over time. All our monuments have changed over time, whether by intervention of human intervention or by the weather. And in a sense, that's the same thing. Okay, so moving along, let's see. So it's not just symbolic. These 30 trees here in the stones are part of this much larger movement. The tree canopy is exponentially increased in Baltimore when they do this project, because it's not just 30 trees. They do a few with the stones, but 300 trees get planted at the end of the day at Baltimore City from this project, which is very cool. So I'm a fire soul. Renee was my predecessor. She is a fire soul. Two other colleagues at UMBC are also fire souls. And this notion of a fire soul, that sounds kind of woo, fire soul. When I first heard it, I thought, what is a fire soul? But it makes so much sense. When they were originally, the funders were originally Tom and Kitty Stoner, they called their foundation TKF. And it stood for Tom, T for Tom, K for Kitty, and the F was for the fire soul. And that's the term for the visionary who's deeply committed to the process, the success of the site, like a curator or a caretaker. But it's more than that. And the term fire soul really captures the passion it takes for a person to take on these sites and the mission of sharing that space in connection with community. So Renee, UMBC's first fire soul. And there are folks at each one of these parks. Wyman Park Dell, there's a fire soul there, and there's a fire soul at Patterson Park. One of the friends of Patterson Park is, I believe it's the director now. They are the fire soul for that site. And TKF, Now Nature Sacred, supports like I said, the physical parks, but also lots of programming. And not all the parks, the 108 or so many they have, are based on Joseph Beuys. I should clarify, a lot of parks have nothing to do with that. They're not art parks, they're community gardens. They are labyrinths. They also put uh, uh, gardens and natural sites inside of institutions like hospitals where gosh, during the pandemic, the doctors and nurses really needed a safe haven to go and stake a few minutes there. And that was really important. They also have them in institutions like prisons where there is a high need for communing with nature. And so those are the kinds of things that they place them, and they place them at art places, many institutions like hospitals, academic institutions like ours. So on the bench, there is a little book which I want to tell you about. So there's a lot of things that do take place on this site here. So for example, back in the year 2010, 11, I want to go to another slide here. We had an anniversary event here at the site. There's a better look at the bench where it says open spaces, sacred places there. Underneath the bench right here is a little hole, like a little plexi uh, thing, and it has a book in there. And this book, it's a yellow notebook, and it sits under the benches. And these are in many of the sites, many of the 100 sites. Doesn't have anything to do with Joseph Beuys, has to do with Nature Sacred's mission of making this a sacred site for people to go and escape the stress of daily living. And they thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a book under there, a public journal that everybody could use? So that's where they keep those. The visitors are invited to write in it, reflection, poetry, memories. These journals are found in many of the sites. And there's one of them. And I'm so lucky. I get to collect these journals. I pick them up and scan them. And we have an archive going back years and years of what passerby have written in these journals. It's amazing. Sometimes the books walk off. It's a college campus. Somebody needs a notebook. I don't know. Maybe they took it with them. That happened one time, a few times actually, but it's amazing because once when one disappeared, one of the people that went by there every day and depended on that book to read it, to write in it, to have a community with people that they didn't even know, thought so much about this resource for anybody who would go by. They put their own copybook in there. I was so touched by that. I found that. I thought, oh my gosh, they wrote a little note. I noticed the book was gone. Here's mine. Please use this until you can replace it. Oh my gosh, right? So it's really amazing when that kind of community comes through in these books, and they do. And I'll show you how you can access these books, and they're fascinating. Um, okay, so moving along. So, oh, here's another book story. I love stories like this. A couple ended up getting engaged on this site. I don't know if they met there, but they used to communicate there. One of them worked on the campus and they would write in there every day. And it came to their 10-year anniversary. At that point, the gentleman, he called me back. He found me and he said, I know you have these archives somewhere. Could you have a student look through those and see if you can find where I proposed? And we did. We had a student look for years and years of these books, and he found the spot. And we scanned it and emailed it to him, and he said he framed it and gave it to her for their anniversary. How cool is that? We've had foxes, we've had dancers there, we've had some mysterious things going on there. For example, one evening during a rehearsal when we were going to have a performance, we were doing a site-specific dance performance there at the space. And I was sitting there watching the rehearsal, working with my grad student who's the choreographer for the event. And it was dusk, the sun was going down, and that's the time that a lot of the animals come out. A fox had wandered into the area there, and some of the stones are very low to the ground. I want to see if there's another picture that might have that. And the fox, he went over to this, probably this one here, and he leaned on it with his elbow, and he just sort of sat back and he watched the dancers performing. He was probably surprised by that. I bet he went through there every night. People said that they'd seen him. I saw it written in the books, him, her. I'm not sure which, but he sat and he literally watched, and then he got a nose for their bags because, as you know, if you've ever been a dancer or know a dancer, they always have snacks. So he went over and he started going through the bags. We had to shoo him off at that point, but that was a really fun little event, an anecdote. So I've seen lots of deer run through the area, groundhogs, bunnies, rabbits, oh gosh, all kinds of birds. Migratory birds are fabulous in the spring and fall. Mostly in the spring you see them. And it's just a very cool place. Here's another story. We have a person named a wonderful man, an arborist. He's an amateur archaeologist and he works for Nature Sacred, and he's the guy that they have, and he that works with the benches. He installs the benches out when they get old and rickety, that he brings and replaces them. So I've been at UMBC for over 17 years now. I've developed a great relationship with Ron. He's wonderful. I always learned so much from him when he comes. And he said, on your site, I would notice back in the trees there, because it's up against a darker, you'll see that in this picture, there's a darker line of trees behind the park where we've have the stones. He says, I've noticed there's a lot of stones back there that might indicate there was some, Native American nations living in this area at the time. He says, I've seen this. I'm amateur, just an amateur archaeologist, but I saw these stones. And I said, oh, that's fascinating. Well, when the next time you come, will you show me where? And I'm picturing these large boulders and stones. He said, yeah, they're usually right near, it's usually they used it for a kitchen. When you see these things, because that's an indication it's used for a kitchen, especially if it's near a body of water. And there's this delicate little brook that babbles by right near where this site is. You can go over this little footbridge, and the water babbles by. And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's perfect for this." So I'm imagining this big stone that they're using as like a preparation area. And he takes me back, and he's like, and he holds up the stone. I have to get out of my here. I took some pictures of it, and he shows me something completely different. Please bear with me. And it's a handheld stone. It's a very small stone, but it's carved in a way that it just fits right in your hand. And I'm not finding, oh, here's my picture. It was here a minute. Oh, here it is. Okay. So he brings out these stones. There we go. Aha. And look at that, how ergonomic that is. That just made me, I just thought, And he
We
he
can't
said,
we
find
can't
these.
see that, Sandra.
Sorry?
We can't see what you're looking at.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so I pulled the let me just pull this down a second. Sharing my screen. I'm supposed to be sharing my screen, but it looks like it's sharing only the,
It's
hang
only sharing
on.
the PowerPoint right now.
I have an idea. Hang on a second. Just bear with me. I have to pull up the bottom part where it says host sharing, stop sharing. Okay. And then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to share again and I'm going to hit this. Can you see that now? Can you see the picture
Yes,
now?
yes,
Okay,
we can.
so here it is. Oh boy, it's really big now. Can you see the size there? It's to give, I put it on this scale, this cutter where you can see it's 4 inches here. This is like an inch here, and you can sort of see the size of it there. Um, no, maybe not. Here we go. And here it is in my hand. It's very ergonomic. So you get the sense of the size of it, and it's very pointy. So it has a number of these very these stones that look like they have been worked in some way and carved with very like a lot of purpose this way. All right, I'm going to get back in my PowerPoint. Can you see that now, my PowerPoint, or do I have to go back and quit this one again? I probably have to quit, right? There we go.
Okay, well, we can see it now.
Okay, you're on the PowerPoint. Great. Sorry about that. And how do I get this? I want to get my PowerPoint back view. There we go. Okay. So here's the inside of the journals. People write in them. They're fascinating. We had a journal exhibition at the gallery not too long ago where I got to curate a collection of the drawings, and some of them, they're spectacular. This is a beautiful site for the students to go and take photography, do videos. We use it for all kinds of art. And they're the K through 12 groups coming through. That's me taking them through. We'll take the K through 12 students out to the park, and we can do all kinds of nature studies with them, where they're drawing directly from nature, not just art activities, but using drawing as an activity to observe nature and to develop their. It was a science class, actually, a teacher that we collaborated with. And, I said, what is it you're trying to achieve? And she said, we really want them to observe nature well. I'm like, I have just the thing. We're gonna do a drawing lesson, and it's not going to be about aesthetics. It's going to be about close observation. And that was a lot of fun. So some of the other ways we use the park. Let's see. Ah, this was interesting. This teacher that came with us, he said, if you turn over one of these logs, was it like a branch that had fallen down, you'll usually find one of these. I want to say is it a newt or something like that? I don't remember what he said it was. I think probably somebody at this meeting knows a lot more about what kind of a skeet or something. I don't know what these things are. But um, the students were fascinated. They were riveted. So as like I said, we have had performances there. These are the dancers, the musicians. It's the place is just ripe for all kinds of programming. Some people joke and they're like, "Oh, it's like Stonehenge," and they said we're always expecting people to come out in hooded. But it's often used as a contemplative place. People just sort of come across it. Oh, there's a nice yoga class going on. We had nothing to do with the way that these people dressed. That was just happenstance. But doesn't that look like we color coordinated it? I was so impressed with that. And then we get to send students out who are studying photography, and they take the photos. And so it's a wonderful place. It just has so many possibilities. And we really are grateful to the Nature Sacred and to UMBC for helping us provide all of this sort of diverse type of activities that go on there. So how are we doing on time? Okay, good. All right, so the rock garden today. Now you heard me refer to it as the rock garden. You've also referred to it as the Joseph Beuys Sculpture Park, and about the larger project of the Joseph Beuys Tree Partnership. which is the network of the three city parks and us together. Originally, that was the name referring to Joseph Beuys. And over the years, the trees have matured beautifully. They created this shaded canopy. The once prominent stones now peek out from under the foliage like quiet gardens, guardians of the space. After conducting surveys this past year, we got feedback about how the space is used in places in ways that we don't know anything about. Other people on the campus are making the space their own, and we heard about also what they call it organically, how it comes together because um, Joseph Beuys, the one little signage, I don't know if you could see it, it's this little stick right here. That's the signage there. The signage is very understated. I guess that's a way hard to say it. So it's not, and the students come upon it, they're using it for their purposes. And it just came to be known over time as the rock garden. And so the rock garden it will be. We are going to change up the signage soon, and it's going to be the rock garden because that's what the community has decided it is. It's not going to make Joseph Beuys and his wonderful story go away. He'll still be recognized as a call out in the didactic that we'll have on the space at the space and on the website as well, which I'll get to in a minute. But it's not going to be lost to history. It's really a sign that the space has taken really root in the lives of these people, and that's more or less what Joseph Beuys had envisioned. So in a sense, it's an appropriate continuation of his legacy. Um, so looking ahead, the images of these people in the park just get me excited about the new chapter. It's there's so many things yet to come. We're talking about a Montessori type seating arrangement that came out of community conversations about these benches are wonderful. We don't want them to go away. But what happens when you take a class? This is a college university, and we have these groups of students. So there's often a time need for larger groups of seating. These yoga folks, they have their mats, and I've actually brought mats out, grass mats for students when we have a large bus load of students coming and they need to sit there and sketch for a while so they don't have to sit on the ground. And that's great. But what about the passersby or the class that's just sort of walking through and the environmental history teacher comes in and they talk about something on the site and you want to sit down and the rocks are a little bit spread out, so we thought that was a wonderful idea. So we're exploring ways to expand the seating at the area to serve the needs of the public. We're exploring ways to make it more accessible. And let's see what else. So while the name is changing, the idea remains the same. The spirit of Beuys is still here. His vision lives on in every tree, every stone, every word in that yellow book. We want to invite you to come visit. This is within the Baltimore metro area. It's free and open to the public. You don't have to make a reservation. If you go to our website, here's the little didactic here, here's the road. You will see this. This is actually a screen capture I took from the website, but you could take a virtual walk around the website, or rather the park. At the website, we have this Matterport, and you click on that. Oops. And here it comes. Now, do I have to change my screen again, or can you see what's up there? I have
We
to change my
cannot see what's
screen.
up. Yeah.
Okay, I'm changing it to my browser then. Yes. Okay, now you should see the park again. I mean, the
Yep.
website. Okay, great. So here's that same picture. I stole it from our website. There's our website. It's still in progress. It's a work in progress, but um, we want to invite people to get involved with it. This is underneath of here. This is a famous performance artist who came out and worked with a class at the site. There's our journals. Remember, I said you can actually access the journals. You go to the website, which I'll give you the QR code. You don't have to try to write it down from up there. Oops, my bad, didn't come out. I guess, like I said, you have to pardon our dust. We're still sort of organizing this website, and it's got a little bit further to go. There's the visitor information links and things that you can find your way out
Sandra,
there.
can you go back to the map? Because one of the questions in the chat
Yes.
box was, could you put up a map of UMBC to point where the garden is.
Absolutely. Whoop. I think if I double click, wait a minute. So if you come out, just to give you a sense, here's Baltimore, right? Baltimore Beltway. And then if you move in, here's Halethorpe. There's 95 where it crosses 695, right? And this circle over here is the circle around the campus, the Beltway. They call it Hilltop Circle. And then there's the park right at the bottom. It's sort of, at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock of the bottom of the clock of that is the campus. There it is, right there. And on weekends and evenings, you can park right in front of it. There's no, but during the week, oops, during the week, during classes, for example, you have to park right here. But this is a great place to park because you come out here, there's this little path, and this is that bridge I was telling you about over the water. This is the water here, and you walk over this bridge, and it's like this opening, and you come through. You don't see it. It's almost like a reveal. You come over this delicate little bridge in the spring. It's beautiful. The blossoms, the bees, the butterflies are everywhere. I took a group of students through here last year, and just as we walked over here, I felt like Snow White. There was there was a groundhog ran by, and then the deer came through here in the middle of the day, which is unusual, but it's so wooded here. They come through and they drink here, and the little baby Bambi was going by in the spring. It was so cute. So cute. And yeah, so this is where the trees are right here. And then in the back of this triangle here is where the non Joseph Beuys stones are. This is just a wild nature area. And that's where we kind of tromp back and we found all those really interesting stones that we think may be tools from folks who were here before UMBC was, which I would love to learn more about. So let me see. Oh, and then if you can't get to the campus, to make it accessible, we have this. This is something we started doing during COVID when we had to be remote and we had exhibitions in the gallery, like taking pictures of. And so eventually we got one out here. This was taken during the dead of winter during like COVID. You can walk around basically from place to place. Here's one of the benches. And this is a better way you can see. Whoop. Oh, I really zoomed in there. See, open spaces, sacred places. Ta-da. I love the little rainbow. Look at that. Gorgeous. There's a bus stop right there. It is on a bus line. The UMBC bus goes around, but this also goes into Baltimore City, so there's public transport nearby. Here is the little path that goes over the bridge. There's the parking garage beyond. Look how quaint that is. You just come over this and it's this reveal in this clearing. It's just so fun. That's how I originally, there's where the fox was, right on that one. It's so low profile, you can't even see it almost. It's very, very, I'll go here and then I'll turn around the other way. So students come here and they install artwork, site-specific artwork, installations. They have performances. They bring their musical instruments out and practice. There's always some lovers, sitting there snuggling, kissing on the park bench at some point. And there it is, the plaque. And this QR code will take you to the site on this page. Now, this may be changing, I have to say, because our website is shifting, and I know this is going to change because we're going to have a new name. So we'll have that launch coming up soon, and I would like to open it up for questions at this point, if anybody has any questions, because we're getting close to 8 o'clock.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sandra. If you could unshare, we'll come back together as a
Oh, yeah.
group and then we do Q&A.
Wonderful.
All right. If you have a question, you can raise your hand or you can put it in the chat box. We did have that. And we have Patricia ask, can you put the link to the virtual tour of the website in the chat box?
Oh, you know what? I think I missed my last slide, which has the link, and I will put it in the box. Hang on. I also have let's see, where was it? I have a QR code that you can scan. Do you want me to share again for the scan if anyone wants to
Sure.
scan it? I will share. Ooh, where'd it go? Share screen. Okay, There we go. So there's the QR code if anybody wants to get it. There's my phone number, direct phone number at the office, my email address, our website address, and the longer link is I will put this in the chat as well. I think I can do that so that you can get it if you don't have your phone handy for the QR code. Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so exciting to discover a new place to go
Mhm.
explore, and that's what I thought. I said, why don't I know about this? This is so cool. I want to go out there and learn. I want to learn more about it, and then I want to go and explore. I have a question, and it's just, do you know where the stones were quarried, or where did you get them from?
That's a great question. Where were they quarried? I'll have to get back to you definitively. I want to say like somewhere in New England. Like I'm thinking it wasn't around here. It was somewhere else, but on the East Coast somewhere, Pennsylvania or New England, like New Hampshire or something like that. But they're granite and they're definitely regionally um, sourced. But yeah,
And do
that's a
you
great
know?
question. And I will
And
get
then
back to you in an email and let you know. I
And do you know
forgot.
what species of oak, and are they all the same species?
Oh, they do. They are several different species of oak. There are. And I do have a map, and shame on me for not putting it in here. I wish I would have thought of it. I didn't think of it till just now that you asked about the species. But we have a map. And it looks like it's a napkin sketch, basically. It's just a triangle with dots where all the trees are. So you know which one, so we know which one is which tree is which. But if you go to any campus, probably, but I know it's definitely like this at our campus. I've seen it other campuses too. Every tree on campus is part of a collection that the university, the horticultural department is tracking, and they often have a number, like it looks like a little dog tag or something, and it's a silver number with stamp number in it, and it relates to, I guess, their database for that tree. So they, keep the information on it. And there are several different species of oaks here, definitely. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't think to bring the map, and it has the list of all of them. I can also get that to you for also, and then if you want to post it, if you're posting the link to this at all, I can upload that. You're welcome to have my slideshow too. I'll add it.
Okay, that would be great. That would be great.
Sure.
And where is the gallery near the trees, or is it at a different location on the campus?
It is not near the trees. So what we did, it's funny you ask that because it's so far away. We wanted to make sure, I think, that we could talk about it in a way that was tangible. So just outside the gallery, the Fine Arts Building, they planted one tree and put one plaque there and said, on the other side of the campus, you can get there and see a lot more of these. And so that was a great touchstone for us to it's a good conversation starter about what's on the other side of campus too. So yeah, it is. It's a little bit of a hike, and I'm not gonna lie, I've probably probably burned a few calories walking back and forth because it's if remember the name of the street that goes around is Hilltop Circle. It's a hilly place. UMBC is a hilly place. It's a fascinating and beautiful topography of the campus, but it can be challenging to walk in heels. I don't recommend it. So I have a lot of Crocs. I have a lot of Crocs that I go to the park with, and I always love it. I don't want to come back to my office once I go there because my office doesn't even have a window. I'm in like the first floor that's in the side of the hill, and it's like being underground. It's sensory deprivation. I don't know what the weather or time of day is or anything.
Well, that's not good.
No, but I have this wonderful park that's just a little walk across campus and and it motivates you to walk over there to get over there.
All right. Do we have any other questions for Sandra tonight about the Joseph, and I'm glad that you said his name because I've been thinking, how do you pronounce that last name? And is it Beuys? I was calling
Boys,
it Beuys.
like boys and girls. You pronounce it like boys and girls, but it's spelled Beuy's.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for introducing us to this wonderful resource and giving us the background and more understanding of where it came from and where it's going. And I know that you're going to have some more visitors to that area. And I'm going to be going out there. And hopefully we can maybe do some programming out there because I see a lot of
Would
opportunities
love
for some
that.
overlap.
Would love that. Please keep in touch. You have my email and my phone number, and if anybody wants to reach out, I will give you a personal tour.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much,
Okay.
everybody. And don't forget, it's River Chubs next week. And we'll see you. Stay well, stay curious, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.